Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday to everybody. Good morning. Happy miracle morning to everybody who's joining me. When you arrive, if you don't mind saying hello, that would be awesome because it lets me know that there are people on the broadcast and I'm not just talking to the dogs. Although they get a lot of personal development, these dogs. They're probably pretty wise. Actually, they're just fighting right now. I could show them to you. Here, I'll show you the dogs. All right, there's the dogs right there. They're fighting. They're my friends always out here with me. Good morning, you guys. Welcome. I was showing a little picture of my doggies. They're out here fighting with each other, and I have one that's always cruising the perimeter. She's the guard dog, the ferocious little Yorkie that she is. She has to make sure nobody's messing with me back here. Hey, good morning, Shelly. Welcome. I'm just waiting for us to get a few more folks on the broadcast, and then we'll get started. So welcome, you guys. I'm going to turn here. Let's see. I'll do it this way. All right. Welcome. Hey, welcome, Maureen. Glad you guys are on. We're going to wait a few minutes till we get some more folks onto the broadcast, and we'll get started. You guys, this is going to be an awesome morning this morning, talking about the Miracle Morning book by Hal Elrod. Good morning to Paul. Welcome. I was just saying that sometimes it's just me and the dogs here in the beginning, so they get a lot of good personal development before everybody jumps on. Good morning, Lila. Welcome. Good morning to Terry, and thank you, sweet Shelly. Good morning, Sherry. Welcome, honey. And good morning to Robin. Good morning, Maureen. Welcome to all my peeps, all my Miracle Morning friends. Welcome. And welcome to Shyla. Glad you guys are on. Happy Thursday to you, Paul. I'm really excited about today's message and also the weekend. It's almost here. Yeah, hi, Robin. Welcome. So you guys, hopefully you have big plans for the weekend. Tell me what you're doing in the comments box. That'd be kind of fun to know what everybody's going to be up to this weekend. Hey, good morning, Michelle. Welcome. Aw, thank you. Thank you, Shyla. You are beautiful too. Thank you so much. Okay, you guys, we're going to dive in here because I think it's past 8:30. So we are going to jump into chapter 2 of The Miracle Morning. This is the book by Hal Elrod that we've been reading together, and hopefully a lot of you, I think all of you, as a matter of fact, who have joined this morning, are part of the Miracle Morning Mastermind group. So we encourage you guys to be part of that group, to go in there and post up daily. And what I'd love to know is just how you guys are feeling about the book. You know, we're on chapter 2. How has it affected you? Any kind of personal story, I think would be great to hear on that page in our Miracle Morning Mastermind. Good morning to Lori and good morning to Brian. I think it's so it's great for you guys to jump on here and for us to have this time together, but it's also really awesome when I see people who have put up comments and put up pictures and just really inspirational posts inside of the group. It really helps everybody, me included. Hey, good morning, Angie. Welcome. So I encourage you guys today, take a moment to stop by and leave something there. Okay, let's get started. Hey, good morning, Pastor Mike, and good morning to my sweet husband. All right, today is the Miracle Morning Origin. This is chapter 2, Born Out of Desperation. Hello, my love. All right, this is a quote by William Burroughs. Desperation is the raw material of change. Only those who can leave behind everything they have ever believed in can hope to escape. That's a quote to start the book. There's another one that it's really powerful. To make profound changes in your life, you need either inspiration or desperation. Isn't that true? Hey, good morning. Inspiration or desperation. That's a quote by Anthony Robbins. Sometimes the pain of staying the same is so great that you just have to change. And so this starts out with Hal Elrod's story. He says, Hal Elrod speaking here, I've been fortunate, quote unquote, fortunate to hit what I call rock bottom twice relatively early in my life. In my 20s, he had a car accident, and then I'll tell you what happened, his second rock bottom. But he says, I say fortunate because it was the growth I experienced and the lessons I learned during those most challenging times of my life that have been enabled me to become the person I needed to be to create the life I always wanted. I'm grateful not only to use my successes, but also my failures in a way that helps others to empower and overcome their own limitations and achieve more than they ever thought possible. So that's how he starts out. Good morning to Karen. Good morning to Carrie. Oh, hi, Carrie. So you guys, Hal Elrod starts this chapter 2, and we're talking about The Miracle Morning, this book by Hal Elrod, by talking about hitting rock bottom twice and how that became the most powerful way that he was able to change his life. And so it says, his first rock bottom was he had a horrendous car crash. And if you didn't hear that story, go back and see the videos from before. But he was pronounced dead at the scene. They revived him, and he actually came back and recovered. So that was rock bottom number 1. He lost everything, lost his girlfriend, lost his job. But he bounced back from that. Good morning, sweet Kelly. Welcome, and thank you, Carrie. All right, so the second rock bottom is, he titles it Deeply in Debt and Depressed. My second plunge into the depths of despair was more difficult than dying in the car accident. He says it was 2008, and the United States economy was in the midst of the worst recession since the Great Depression of the 1930s. In the years since surviving the accident, I had bounced back to hit a Hall of Fame career and a Hall of Fame sales career, 6-figure coaching business, and a best-selling book. But then when this 2008 recession hit, it was a complete mental, emotional, and financial breakdown for him. So he said, I think we need to pause and just kind of really take stock in that. He said that this particular downturn in the economy affected him and was a worse rock bottom than actually being pronounced dead on the scene of his car accident. I think that's incredible, and let me tell you why. And I know, and I want you to hear this with ears that, to hear how you can relate, because when I read this morning, I was like, man, I understand how he felt. It says, why debt is worse than death. This is the way he titles this. It says, if you ask me which is more difficult, my accident or my financial struggles, I wouldn't hesitate to tell you the latter. Most people would assume being hit head-on by a drunk driver and breaking 11 bones, suffering permanent brain damage, and being pronounced dead just to wake up in a coma and wake up to the news that you may never walk again would be the worst thing. But he said, honestly, this wasn't the worst case for me. It wasn't the case for me. He says, you see, and this is interesting. He says, I'm going to paraphrase this. Good morning, honey. Oh, you're so welcome, Karen. Thank you for being here. And good morning, Lila. He says, I'm going to paraphrase what he says, but he says basically, when I was in the hospital recovering from my car accident, I had people who helped me. They served me food every day. They were focused on my recovery. I had doctors. I had nurses. I had full-time care. I didn't have to worry about anything. No, bills were being paid. Everything was being taken care of. I had family around me, visiting me. I had friends almost every day. He said, I had so many people around me during that rock bottom in my life that, it was just, he said, he said the second time around, and this is when he went through his financial struggles during that downturn in the economy, he said, nobody felt sorry for me. I didn't have any visitors. No one oversaw my care or my recovery. Nobody brought me food. I was on my own this time. People had their own problems to deal with. He said it was a domino effect that I created these struggles, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, you name it, I was a mess. He said, I had so much fear and uncertainty that the only comfort I had was being in my own bed. And he said the only thing that I looked forward to was just going to bed at night because I could turn off the fear and the anxiety and the stress, the tremendous stress that I was having, and I felt so alone. And you guys, I don't know if you all can relate to this, but I'm just going to share our story because I know Jason's on here, and I know that we can relate to this. I mean, we're in construction, And when it stopped here in Dallas, and it did stop, and we always said, Jason kind of joked, if you're in construction and people stop constructing, you really have a math problem. He was so stressed, so worried, so concerned, every day carrying loads of stress. Good morning to Darrow. Good morning to Robin. And Robin says, I can relate. I know a lot of us can relate to this. I mean, I watched Jason and, just carrying the weight of this, trying not to bankrupt our company, and trying to figure out and going deeply in debt to honor his commitments that he had made to the people that he did business with. And, just realizing, gosh, what are we going to do? I mean, we were desperate. And I like what Hal Elrod said is that, sometimes that's what it takes. You become so desperate, you're like, I've got to change. It is too painful to be the same. It is too painful to stay here. I have to change. I have to do something dramatic. Desperation causes dramatic change. And I know I could just relate to so much of this, and that's what happened for us. I mean, at that moment, we started a new business, which sounds kind of crazy. It's like, in a down economy, do you really start a new business? Well, yeah, you do. Your parents were in real estate, Kelly's saying, and she grew up in that environment. Man, I tell you, it was a super stressful time, but that kind of stress and that what was happening, that desperation, caused us to create, I think, make one of the best decisions we made in our life, which we started another business, and it has blessed us immensely. It saved our other business from bankruptcy, but we would have never done that. I mean, we were kind of good where we were. I mean, we were kind of like, hey, you know what? It's good for us. Everything's going well, until it wasn't. And suddenly we had to make some dramatic changes. So let me just tell you what else Hal Elrod has to say. He says, I didn't see a solution to my financial crisis. I couldn't think of anything else that would put an end to my emotional pain. And he said, then, in a single morning, everything changed. I woke up feeling depressed, and all of a sudden, I did something different. I remembered that a friend of mine said, you should go for a run. And he said, I'm not a runner. And he said, so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to try this. I'm so desperate. I got to do something. And so he went out for a run. He said, I laced up my Air Jordans, and he puts in parentheses, remember, I'm not a runner. So puts on his basketball shoes. And he said, I went out for a run, and I put into my iPod Jim Rohn. And Jim Rohn said something on that iPodcast that I just never had heard it before in this way. I had heard it, but I hadn't heard it in this way. And he says, that I'm going to turn the page here so I can read it exactly to you guys. He said it was profound and it was life-changing. He said that on this run, he heard Jim Rohn say, your level of success will rarely exceed your level of personal development, because success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is something you attract by the person you become. And welcome, Cindy Cox. Glad you're here. It says, it stopped me in my tracks. This one philosophy was going to change my entire life. And that's when he realized that all of a sudden it hit me. He said, like a tidal wave of reality, I had become present to the fact that I had not been developing myself into the person I needed to be to attract, create, and sustain the level of success that I wanted. And Shyla is saying when it becomes too painful to stay where you're at, you've got to change something or everything. I love that. So true. So, thank you, Cindy. So, you guys, do you get that? It was like suddenly, even though he had been through all this, Hal Elrod was in personal development, he was a coach, all this stuff, but he said, I had never realized that I had no plan for my personal growth that was sustainable, predictable, and that was really going to make me become a better person to attract and sustain who I needed to become. It says, if your vision is, Carrie says, Jim Rohn says, your vision isn't the problem, your plan is. Get a plan. You need a plan. And that's when, out of this desperation and this moment of clarity that he finally heard, when the student's ready, the teacher appears, he finally heard Jim Rohn. He's like, I need a plan. And that's when he created this miracle morning. He said, I sat down And I realized, okay, first of all, I have to find time. I have to find time to do this. And he went through all the scenarios. He's like, okay, I have no time. I'm so busy. You know, everybody's going to say that, right? I don't have time for my personal development. Yes, you do. And so he's like, okay, maybe it's at night. And he's like, I'm exhausted at night. It's the only time I get to see my fiance, and I'm going to bring sort of a meager portion of myself to this process. So he said, I don't want to do that. And then he said, I thought about lunchtime. And he said, you know, I just knew other things would get in the way. He said, I landed on the best time is going to be the morning. And he said, I just hated that idea. He said, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not a morning person. But he said, I just needed to do this, and I needed to do it in a way that I could sustain it. And the only time that was really mine would be the morning. And I like, and I'm just going to throw this in there. It's an author, Matthew Kelly, said in his book, The Rhythm of Life. On the one hand, we all want to be happy. On one hand, we all want to be happy. On the other hand, we all know the things that make us happy, but we don't do those things. Why? Simple. We are too busy. Too busy doing what? Too busy trying to be happy. Run that back and listen to that again. We want to be happy. We know the things that we need to do to be happy, and why aren't we? You know, we say we're too busy. Why are we too busy? We're too busy trying to be happy. You guys, we have to let down this excuse of being too busy and figure out when we can make this happen for ourselves. And I'm telling you, morning is going to be your best bet. I'm just telling you. It's the only time that you can really have no interruptions that's completely yours. And so this is what he said. He said he finally landed on morning, and the way he titles it, he's like, oh, come on, morning. Yes, morning is where he landed. He said, I realized even though I'm not a morning person, and he said to say that is a gross understatement, that he wasn't a morning person. He dreaded it. But he said he hated running too, and he said he realized that these are some things that had to change. And he said, by committing to my personal development in the morning, it would give me a positive motivational kickstart to my day. I could learn something new in the morning, and I'd feel energized, more focused, more motivated for the rest of my day. It says, he talks about an author who said the rudder of the day. He said, Steve, the author of Personal Development for Smart People, says, it's been said that the first hour of the day is the rudder of the day. If I'm in lazy, haphazard actions in the morning, in the first hour, I'll have a fairly lazy and unfocused day. But if I strive to make the first hour optimally productive, the day tends to follow suit. So you guys, that's what we want to encourage here, is starting first thing in the morning and really deciding, okay, maybe I'm not in desperation, but I do want to have some dramatic change in my life. You know, for me, when I started the Miracle Morning, I wasn't necessarily in desperation, but I felt like I was a bit stagnant. You know, I've done personal development just like Hal Elrod, but I felt like, you know what, I don't have a plan for every day creating a better me. I want that plan. I want the level 10 life. I don't want an 8 and I don't want a 9. I want a 10. And I want it in all the areas. So I realized, you know what? This makes sense. I'm going to do it in the morning and make that plan. Just like Carrie said, hey, good morning to Lewis. Welcome, honey. And welcome to Kellyanne. Welcome. And welcome to Sandy. You guys, this is just, I'm going to close the video here because we're going to talk more about what this morning ritual is and how Hal Elrod came up with it. But I just wanted you to get the sense for, you know, sometimes staying stuck is so painful that you've got to change. And I would encourage you guys to invite dramatic change, not just incremental, because it never feels like you're really moving. You know, make a dramatic change. You know, promise yourself to try this, to start trying this Miracle Morning as we go along. And I'll explain more to you guys later. But I just want to encourage you that if you're in that place of desperation, and a lot of us are, and I hope you could relate to what was said here and shared here this morning. I know I could relate to so much of this, that change can happen for you, really positive, incredible change to help you become the person that you want to be, the person that God promised, that, you know, the fulfillment of all God's promises for you. And it starts with just a decision, you guys, just making a decision. A lot of times Jim Rohn would say, easy to do, easy not to do. This is powerful. This is a powerful decision that you can make. So I hope you stay with me tomorrow as we talk about what this miracle morning is. And thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you, everybody, to hear who commented and liked and shared the broadcast out. I loved being with you guys. Terry wants to be a level 10, and here's the plan. We're about to lay it out. So be on tomorrow, and we'll talk about the plan, you guys. Love all of you guys. Go and comment, like, and share, and also go into the Miracle Morning Miracle Morning Mastermind group, and make sure you share something today. It's inspirational for all of us. Thank you guys for the likes and the loves. Love you guys. Have an awesome Thursday. Bye, everybody.